COVID. It's something you might have heard of if you've been around for the past couple of years. Ever since the world shut down, we've all been bombarded with the effects of a global pandemic that have, for many, completely changed our schedules and lifestyle. From shortages of common products to the rise in prices of those same products, it's hard to know when or if we'll ever truly go back to normal. Hell, the price of 8 wings at one of my favorite local restaurants went up from $8.99 to $12.99. I really don't know how I've coped this long. Back on track. For some people, not much really changed. While yes, the world had closed, they never really interacted with it much in the first place, and the world being closed just meant more people were doing what they had been doing from the start, staying inside and playing games. The games industry has been no stranger to the effects of the pandemic. If 2020 and 2021 were any indication, they've been hit pretty hard. From delays, canceled games, neutered releases, and layoffs, the entire games industry has been in a bad spot for a while now. But 2022 has come and promises so many games that we've been waiting for that it's hard not to be excited about something coming out this year. So, considering the world is in the early stages of reopening, and games that were massively delayed are now on the horizon, let's take a look back at just what happened to the games industry due to the virus, and how it will probably be affected going forward. Now, let's talk about the thing that you've probably seen the most of since COVID became a thing. Delays. Delay. It seems that nearly every single game that released in 2021 was delayed. From games that no one expected to be good, to games that everyone wanted to be good, and even games that were really good still weren't safe from being delayed. Hell, even games nominated for Game of the Year weren't safe and were forced to come out the other side of a delay better than they would have been released. So if delays can affect even the best games released last year, just what are they? And how do they get to be such a big issue in the first place? Well, consider every game that has ever come out a miracle. Yes, even that one. Video games are massively intensive projects and are only getting larger as technology and expectations grow and improve. From pre-planning to planning to modeling, voice acting, animating, designing, coding, long-term support, and everything else that I'm not thinking of right now as I talk about this, all of these massive projects on their own need to come together at a certain point and be released to the general public. It takes a lot of precise scheduling, hard work, and good management to release any game on time, and that's without COVID throwing a massive wrench into it. Games that do end up getting delayed are usually delayed for anything that takes up more time than what the developers were expecting, which can range from issues as large as the game just not being finished to publishers just willing to give a game more time after learning their lesson. So, if I had to generalize a lot of delays and come up with a most common reason, I'd have to say that management ranks the highest. Managers are a vital linchpin in every single game that has ever been released. You need someone to properly manage aspects of a game, and without proper management, those schedules either become wildly unrealistic or people get fed up with the lack of direction. Throw a global pandemic into this mix that forces everyone to completely reconsider how they live, work, and relax, and you can begin to see what happened in 2021. And the games that did manage to come out in 2021 either released in a state that was buggy, broken, and required massive support and updates to fix, or released just straight up missing massive amounts of features that are now promised to be added months or possibly even years down the line. Battlefield 2042 and Halo Infinite are these shining examples for both of those points, and are only 2 examples of many games' lifespans that existed during both 2020 and 2021. I mean, I feel like even the discourse and reviews surrounding the games that released broken or neutered was changed due to the pandemic. Things that were once completely unacceptable are now beginning to loosen under the pretense of, well, COVID means that these studios had to cut some stuff to get the game out. And at this point, they're not wrong at all. Obviously, this is all depending on which project we're talking about, but I truly believe that every single developer working right now have been dropped into new, extremely shitty territories and are working their asses off to give us the best games possible under the restrictions of the deadlines they were given. No one planned for COVID, and planning around it has clearly been a massive logistical nightmare. If it wasn't, games that are coming out this year would have already been out, and the games that did come out would have released in much better states than they're in now. Speaking of the state of AAA gaming, I'd say the largest bittersweet positive that came out of the games last year, and the lack thereof, is the rise of the popularity of indie games. Inscription being recognized for its creative and unique experiences, Ultra Kill being ranked as the 27th highest rated game of all time on Steam, which yes, kind of invalidates the title of the second video on my channel. Yes, I know you have played Ultra overkill. It's a clickbait title. Just let me live, man. And It Takes Two winning Game of the Year at the Game Awards this year over industry titans like Resident Evil and Metroid Dread. And it's not just indie games that have exploded in popularity. We've seen a boom in just the internet in general. YouTubers, Twitch streamers, the internet, and games overall have grown so much in popularity worldwide that every single new big game that comes out is a massive event. I can only comment on the games that I was there for, but New World absolutely exploded and was massive for a week. Halo Infinite surpassed that and was a massive event for the entire gaming community. Rightfully deserved, honestly. I was waiting for Halo Infinite for 6 fucking years, bro. And Dying Light 2 went beyond Halo Infinite with an absolutely massive launch of its own, which is great to see for a game that's a lot of fun, which I'll be talking about more in its own video. Finally, the entire esports scene had to switch to purely online matches for a long period of time with varying results across multiple different games. With the cancellation of major tournaments and extreme roster changes, some players were left without a team or competed not to a crowd, but in the comfort of their own bedroom. Players who normally would have buckled under the pressure of playing in front of a crowd were left to thrive online, and the people who would have made up that crowd were left to watch the match from a Twitch stream at home. And while competitive esports still lived on, there's something special about a crowd's reaction to a play or win that isn't captured with purely online matches. Can you imagine Cloud9's 2018 E-League win against FaZe without the crowd's insane reaction? Overall, with hopefully the worst of the pandemic behind us, we can begin to get back to doing the things we love the most, which for some was what they've been doing the most since the pandemic started. And while we might still have to experience some of the long-lasting effects of this, at least we can cope with some kick-ass video games coming out this year. And I'm talking some sick-ass games, bro. We got that new Kirby game with the car, Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Bayonetta 3, Breath of the Wild 2, Gran Turismo 7, Slime Rancher 2.